sit on this mountain to the white light on my string. From picking on this old banjo, the guitar sitting on my knee. For the love and respect of the music, this is bridging the gap. For the love and respect of the music, this is bridging the gap. Bridging the gap, yeah.
My name is John Akyuz. I'm the host for Bridging the Gap.
My name's Adam Graybeal.
Bridging the gap in respect and understanding of bluegrass, country, blues, rock and roll, and heavy metal. Today we're going to be talking about blues.
You treated me mean, you treated me cruel. I was so young, I was a fool. I'm a bad girl now. Oh yeah, I'm a bad girl now. I'm bad, ain't your little girl no more. You came in late again and again. You spend all your money on women and gin. I'm a bad girl now. I'm a bad girl now. I'm bad, ain't your little girl no more. It's a game of desperation. You got me on my knees. When you get me where you want me, all you wanna do is tease. It's a game of desperation. You got me on my knees. When you get me where you want me, all you wanna do is tease. You better watch your step, you're crossing over the line. Keep on running around, you're running out of time. I'm a bad girl now. I'm a bad girl now. I'm bad, ain't your little girl no more. I'm bad, ain't your little girl no more. I'm bad, ain't your little girl no more. Ooh.
If you wouldn't mind me telling me a little
It's
bit about it.
Adam Graybeal. The band's name is Hillbilly Soul. It's
Ooh, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's we try to kind of again bridge the gap between blues and Appalachian music. I mean, because a lot of people don't really realize that. I mean, a lot of the guys, Tennessee Ernie Ford, Merle Travis, these guys were playing what I would call Appalachian blues back in the 30s and 40s. So we try to kind of bridge that gap between the Memphis and Chicago sounds, B.B. King, Muddy Waters, mixed with, Merle Travis and Tennessee Ernie Ford, some of the stuff that a lot of people don't associate those two together. They think, Tennessee Ernie Ford or Merle Travis, Doc Watson, they think of that with bluegrass, but those guys played a lot of blues too, so we try to kind of bridge that gap between them.
Exactly. And all the blues legends, they're sadly starting to get fewer and fewer, and
Yeah.
I myself take a little bit of inspiration from blues, even though I'm more heavy metal. I like doing a lot of blues blues
Yeah.
bands and blues scales.
Yeah.
I take a lot of inspiration from Albert King,
Yeah.
Muddy Waters, and Buddy Guy,
Yeah,
especially.
Yeah, but he's one of the only ones left alive.
You know, I just always thought blues is one of those soul
That's
music.
where it
You,
all
you,
really
you
started.
either have it or you don't.
Yeah, and it was really the kind of the beginning of American music. I mean, as far as rock and roll, Elvis Presley, stuff like that. I mean, they all started with, they all really kind of came out of blues. I mean, even into rock and roll, like the Beatles, people like that. I mean, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, a lot of those bands were taking American blues songs and covering them in more like a British rock style, but that became rock and roll.
I mean, one thing I gotta say about Elvis, he, in his rock and roll, he put a little more, excuse me, sorry about that. He put a little more gospel in
He
his
did.
rock and roll,
Yeah.
and kind of bring it out, if that makes sense, into kind
Oh,
of.
yeah.
I don't want to say mainstream, but it helped bring it out and say,
You got it
here's
to
rock and
another
roll.
audience, yeah, an audience that may not necessarily listen to it to start with. Yeah, very much.
And one thing that I've always kind of thought about Elvis, a lot of the people that were very kind of protective about certain imagery at that time, I mean, still today,
Oh,
he kind of made a little, at moment, kind of sensual kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of help start, I wouldn't say it didn't happen until kind of the Beatles era, but he kind of helped bring the sex, drugs, and rock and roll to,
Yeah, I mean, very, very much, yeah. You know, when you first started seeing Elvis on television, I mean, you only saw him from the waist up.
yeah.
I mean, and it wasn't until he had been to really the mid '60s before they started actually showing him waist down, which was, you know, that was a big thing. You know, like you were saying, the censorship in it, that was a big deal to show Elvis Presley from the waist down, and to show, you know, a full body was a big deal. So there was a lot of censorship in it, and he really did. He very much helped to kind of bridge that and get that over the hump toward, you know, that did start to become mainstream.
Exactly. You know, I know you're the guest, but you mind if I
Yeah,
play a little bit?
no, go right ahead.
Because with me, I put in a little bit more, excuse me again, I put a little bit more drive and distortion mixed in with my blues. Personally, I like having a little more rock and roll in my blues.
Yeah.
But it's still very
Gary Moore.
blues.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, very Gary Moore-esque.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that's Gary Moore's probably. I'm sure that's somebody you're very familiar with, I would think. Yeah.
A lot of, what's his name? A lot of Muddy Waters. I
Yeah.
love Muddy Waters,
Yes.
especially, what was it? I believe the song, my favorite one by him is Manishable.
Yeah.
I love that
Manage Board. Yeah. Great song.
Oh, would you like that?
Sure,
Like
why not?
Shred a Little?
One of the big, you know, like you were saying, the big differences, like in, as far as game versus non. Tinkering over here. Like,
No.
like one of the big differences, I think, with you know, stylistically wise, you know, rock and roll, you get a lot of the big notes and a lot of scale runs, whereas, you know, if
Yeah.
you're playing a lot of the blues players, they didn't know those things. They literally tried to, you try to vocalize if you're doing a song. It's more of a vocal line, you know. It almost, I would like to
Oh, yeah.
describe it kind of like a horn, like you'd hear a saxophone play or something. Then you had guys like Stevie Ray, who did a lot of the quicker, you know. who were fast players. I mean, they were
Oh, yeah.
really kind of bringing rock and roll into blues. Because I mean, somebody like Stevie Ray could play just as fast as any rock player, but the phrasing was different. Whereas you might have somebody that did a lot of runs and things where you'd have Albert King or Freddie King that would take that same lick, just where you'd have somebody like Stevie who would go real fast, and then you got like Freddie King, the same basic pattern, just a big difference in style-wise and just what I call phrasing. It's really just more, if you want to get something that's real aggressive. If you get somebody like Stevie, versus somebody like Freddie King or Albert doing the same thing, he's going to really take it, not pull it back. I mean, it's still aggressive in style wise, but just differences in playing wise. Where you get somebody that same thing, you can get the same type of the same. You're wanting to emphasize the same thing, but you're just going at it a little different way. A little bit cleaner, more. And you take somebody really, who throws a lot of notes in there, but you can do the same thing with, like I said, a very clean. So you can get that same type of emphasis, but yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I've kind of not really so much meaning to. I mean, I love Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, he's one of those legends.
Yeah.
And
he very much bridge music. Yeah.
I mean, on the soon to be, this is just personal opinion. This is not really a fact. It's just my personal opinion. I would say that soon he is going to be on the blues legend.
Oh yeah, I mean
levels.
Yeah, I think that's without a doubt. Yeah.
And
I mean, if not, I mean, my opinion already is. He just, I think unfortunately it takes being dead for a while or being passed away for a while to kind of get on some lists. But yeah, I mean, he was somebody that very fluently took rock and roll and blues and bridged them. I mean, you'd hear him doing so. I mean, that's a straight rock and roll run.
exactly.
But at the same time, that was what when he was first started doing it, was considered Texas swing. Well, I mean, you hear the same thing. Eric Clapton. I mean, that could be a number of 50s rock and roll songs. So I mean, he just kind of took that and bridged that in and pulled it into mainstream music. Blues very much wasn't mainstream really until he came out and started really kind of being popularized. I mean, before guys like Stevie Ray Vaughan, the Fabulous Thunderbirds, you'd ever heard of Muddy Waters. Nobody had heard of. I mean, these guys were famous in their genre, but nobody had heard of B.B. King. And then all of a sudden, he really made it possible for these guys that have been out there and been doing it to really get out and be popularized or mainstreamed.
I mean, for a while, I've always loved blues.
Yeah.
But it's just like with me and heavy metal. I mean, believe it or not, I've not been into heavy metal as long as I may look. I mean, maybe about 6 years.
Yeah.
In the same way about blues. I mean, I've always respected music.
Yeah. Yeah, music is music. That's kind of my figure.
Oh, thank you. Like I say, I mean, since we're kind of using single coil, I'll probably also use single coil myself. One thing I love about, especially with newer instruments, they've got something called coil tapping, which right now these are just humbuckers. They are two single coils put together. You pull, single coil. In this case, the neck is now single coil. But single coil is, that's one thing I always loved about Fender, especially used in blues. They've kind of got a distant echo scream, if that makes sense. Scream, I don't.
Almost.
Yeah, and one thing with me is, mainly rock and roll and heavy metal, there's a lot of down picking.
Yeah.
One thing I like to do is when I experiment with blues, do a little bit of down picking, but when I start, I like doing single note on the same string, just go up half step or full step, and then get into more of a changing of string and not really so much complicated, but something that looks complicated, but basically simple, like.
Have the same thing that you got something like that. So you can take a riff like that, and you can keep it kind of dark, But you can take that same thing, and you can almost make it sound happy. And playing in the same basic riffs, and you can really take it very much and be dark. Whereas the same thing, you can take that same thing and really kind of be uplifting about it, all in the same song. Just a matter of how you want to voice it. You want something to be, or do you want it to be more, I mean, two very different, same patterns. I mean, versus taking something and be very uplifting, kind of a happy, almost a happy tone, with it for the sake of being cliche. But I mean, it's that's one of the neat things about it. It's very expressive.
There's 1,000,001 ways to be able to do something.
Yeah, yeah.
You can really go, go, go. Jumping fast or rocking slow. I'll see it when the band gon' blow. Now hold it, don't move it. Now boogie some more, yo. Good rockin' daddy, yeah, yo. Good rockin' daddy. Up on your feet, you can't be beat, yo. Good rockin' daddy. I told the girls all to come and see just what the Sandman brought to me. They stood around with a great big smile. When you did the crazy twist, they all went wild, yo. Good rockin' daddy, yeah, yo. Good rockin' daddy. Up on your feet, you can't be beat, yo. Good rockin' daddy. Woo! I'll hold you close and I'll hold you tight. You rock and roll from left to right. Round and round we go. Rest a while and we'll boogie some more, y'all. Good rockin' daddy, yeah, yo. Good rockin' daddy. Up on your feet, you can't be beat, yo. Good rockin' daddy. Up on your feet, you can't be beat, yo. Good rockin' daddy. One more time. Up on your feet, you can't be beat, yo. Good rockin' daddy.
that's a pretty good explanation on blues. I mean, it's very expression. It's all about how you're feeling in that moment, how you want to portray it.
One thing I really do love about, being able to do this is just like, when Mr. Edwards came and demonstrated on how to change a string or tune on a banjo, and I have no idea on how to change a string on a banjo, but I mean, I've learned a couple things. I'm not 100% there yet, because one thing that I've learned over the years, visual, you can get a general idea, but when you actually do it yourself for weeks, months, years, you'll be able to get into it like that real quick. And I love learning things, even though I might not play the banjo.
Right, yeah.
But if one day I want to
Knowledge-
pick it up and try.
Knowledge is power. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the more you know about something. It's like guitars. I mean, like you were talking about the difference in humbuckers and single coils. This is a Stratocaster. It's straight single coils. One of the neat things what you can do with them is you can bridge them like that. The way it's set there is just on the bridge, so it's very kind of on the tinier side. You can blend it with the other two and get more. It's just learning the differences versus if you want to bridge these two together, you get more of your classic blues sound. Just knowing, the more you know, more you can know about an instrument, the more you can actually use it and utilize those tools.
And that's one thing I've always loved about Strat or Super Strat body shapes is the layout. Because I've always loved that switchblade. Well, I mean switchblades I like to call it, but the blade to where you can change pickups. With my Les Paul, I've got a just a basic switch. This is treble, which is bridge pickup. Have it all the way up, neck, but just like with the Fender and the middle, you're working with both. And one thing that I also like to do is I normally have the neck pickup off because if I want to pause for a minute to stop or just take a break, because like let's say if you switch to because technically this does not have a actual fully on and off, if that makes sense, like a lot of others. There we go. And because this is the volume, this is the tone knob, so I just have it on 0, and then if I want to take a break or someone's calling on the phone, as usual.
Can't get away from cell phones.
Hello.
Can't get away from a cell phone.
And also what's cool is when you do this kind of thing, it kind of has like a kill switch. Kind of on certain models you have a kill switch. Kind of like what it does, you get a cool kind of effect. You can get, I mean, it's cool. It's normally not used in blues very much, but I mean, if there's a million ways to mix stuff.
The neat thing about blues, it's all your interpretation. So,
but yeah, like I was saying earlier, one thing that I've always loved about, a lot of newer guitars have this, but like coil tapping, just pull it, single, humbucker. Because I'm more of a humbucker guy, because I like having a little more tone and more distortion, but I think single coils have a real good mellow tone to them.
they do, yeah. They're very kind of hollow.
Because I'm one of these guys, I'm not always kind of heavy and harder. If I do kind of heavier music in my solo or kind of offbeat, I kind of have more of a melodic, beautiful, softer kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know, I'm different. I'm weird. But yeah, blues over the years has really kind of grown on me. I've got a blues soul. Well, I kind of have like a little saying. I've got a blues soul, but metal blood.
Yeah.
Are there any kind of other guitars that you may have or you may prefer?
With blues, I tend to play either Stratocasters or a hollow body like an ES335 or I tend to lean more towards single coils. Just you can clean them up real easily. You can get them distorted, but you can clean them up a little easier. And I like that kind of a haunting, kind of hollow sound. So that really I mostly stick to either Strat or like a hollow body, an ES335, something like that. But honestly, you can use anything. any.
Oh,
Kind of my whole saying is tones in your hands, not the guitar you're playing.
Exactly.
You can pick up any guitar. You take a good guitarist with any guitar, and it's going to sound like that person. Versus you take a bad guitarist on a great guitar, and it still sounds like that person. I mean, the tone very much is in your hands. So it's not always the instrument you're playing; it's how you play it.
And I forgot his name, but there's this one artist, a blues artist, but he also was kind of like Jimi Hendrix level.
Yeah.
I mean, I take that back. I mean, more along the lines of kind of style.
Yeah.
And he once said, he feels that, you know, if you, depending on how strong you are, like let's say, I'm a skinny guy, and watch it. He once said that how strong you are and how strong your hands are can give you
Makes a big
can give you
difference,
a better tone.
It does. Like I use real heavy gauge strings. I use 12 gauge string, 12 gauge electric string on my guitar, just for that reason of when you're doing things. See your chord there for a second. I gotta give you an example. There we go. When you're doing things like this, you know, like say, pick up. You have to use a real light gauge string, that big, thick, and you're not going to get that sound out of a skinnier string.
Yeah.
Because it's going to give you more. It's going to break up more like that. It's going to have a higher pitch to it versus something. The bigger the string, the more you can kind of wield it. I mean, like with the way I play a lot is a lot of bending notes. So as opposed to a lot of scale runs, I tend to do more. Things like that. The bigger the string you have, the more you have to kind of fight it. The more you actually fight that, it fights you back. You can't just wield it, to how you want. You got to really the guitar fights you back. But in blues, that's how you get that. Is that guitar fighting back at you? That's what gives part of that kind of almost a screaming tone. I mean, just very, So, string size does make a big difference.
I'm a 9 gauge kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I also love 10 gauge because 10 gauge, I was reading somewhere that B.B. King, his preferred setup was 10 gauge.
Yeah.
And I actually had the chance to play guitar equipped with a 10 gauge, and I loved them.
Yeah.
Personally, where I tend to tune down a little bit more E flat and drop D.
Right.
They can get a little bit heavier for me because I prefer kind of a dirtier tone.
Right.
Especially when I play kind of a
Yeah.
heavier metal, but with good blues at the same time. I like it because these strings are about, let me think here. I would say these are about 2 months old.
Yeah.
About 2 months old. At about 2 months, 3 months, that's where I tend to kind of really, I like older strings.
I'm exactly opposite. I get maybe a week out of a set, if that. Yeah. So that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I spent a small fortune in guitar strings.
Oh yeah.
But and gauge and brand wise, I'm very particular. Just because I use one brand only, one gauge only.
I mean, have you heard that if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
Don't fix it. I agree with that. Well, I think that's kind of got us for this for this. I mean, we've done a good job of covering the bases. I think.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is John Akyuz, if you didn't catch it the first time.
I'm Adam Graybeal.
And this is Bridging the Gap.